As was foretold by the nightmarishly fatalistic ending of Super Mario Galaxy, Mario's intergalactic adventures continue with the release of Super Mario Galaxy 2, which is, at its essence, more Super Mario Galaxy. Now, that's not to say that this is a complete also-ran. A number of appreciable new gameplay concepts have been introduced here, including that infernal dinosaur Yoshi and a number of clever new suits. And the levels are even more ambitious with the crazy ways in which they play with the relative laws of gravity. So it doesn't have quite the same new Mario smell as the original Galaxy. But there are far worse games to draw favorable comparisons to. And maybe it's just been long enough since the first one came out for my memory to fade, but I still found the style of action as fun and fresh as I did 2.5 years ago. If there's any consistency between most Mario games, it's the jumping off point. And Galaxy 2 stays true to the rich tradition of Bowser kidnapping Princess Peach and Mario giving chase. This time, Mr. Mustache teams up with a ragtag crew of Lumas, those weird little raw, chicken-shaped star people from the first Galaxy, on a planetoid spaceship that looks like a topiary version of Mario's head. Cruising across the universe in this spaceship, or should I say spaceship, Mario follows a mostly linear Super Mario Bros. 3 style map system from one level to the next. Though there are still star bits, coins, and a few other trinkets to collect and cash in for various power-ups and unlockables, your main concern is collecting stars, which is what throttles your progression from one level to the next. It's a progression structure that can be traced all the way back to Super Mario 64, with most levels featuring secret stars and secondary stars for you to go back and collect. The difference, though, is that the star requirements in Galaxy 2 are pretty high, and other than the deliberately crazy hard and brutal bonus world you unlock after you finish the game, I didn't feel like I had left many stars on the table by the time the credits rolled. I don't think Galaxy 2 is actually that much more difficult than the first, it's just that a lot of the harder stuff ends up being part of the critical path. I definitely engaged in my fair share of one-sided yelling matches with my TV playing the game, but it almost always seemed fair, and there was really only one occasion I could recall where I felt like it was the game's fault and not my own. It's tough, but it provides you with more than enough tools to get the job done. Part of what keeps Galaxy 2 feeling fresh is the wealth of clever new abilities that Mario's been given. Personally, I'm a big-time Super Mario Bros. 3 fan. I love seeing Mario in crazy-ass suits, and this game represents the single largest influx of new suits since. The fire suit, the bee suit, the spring suit, and a boo suit that turns him into an officious-looking mustachioed ghost all return. And the game also introduces a cloud suit that lets Mario conjure up a series of floating platforms, a rock suit that lets him turn into a rolling boulder to smash through enemies and obstacles, and of course, the return of Yoshi. Now, I'm historically not so fond of that cutesy, inexplicably boot-wearing dinosaur, but his unique abilities make him a smart addition here. Using that tongue that makes him oh so popular with the ladies, Yoshi can gobble up some enemies, turning them into star bits, while others get spit out as deadly projectiles. You'll find special swing points that only Yoshi can use, as well as highly reactive fruit that can turn Yoshi into a leaky balloon, a land rocket, or a walking lantern. For as many new tricks as Galaxy 2 introduces, I never felt overwhelmed by the options, and the game does some smart hand-holding, providing entirely optional tutorials whenever a significant new gameplay concept is introduced. At the same time, the variety of abilities at your disposal helps keep things feeling fresh throughout. And despite spending a good 13 hours playing through Galaxy 2, I almost always felt like I was seeing something new. Much of that credit, though, has to go to the level designs in Galaxy 2, which seem much bolder than before and more willing to take some weird risks with the planetoids and abstract platforming that set the tone in the original Galaxy. The relative virtues of gravity are far more contentious. Levels will fold in on themselves in ways that's reminiscent of what you might get if MC Escher did origami, and there are entire levels that hinge on the rhythmic fluctuations of physical law. Yet these heady concepts are executed so deftly, I never found myself confused or uncertain about that behavior. Really, if there's one negative I can level against the action in Galaxy 2, it's that some of the gravity play might be too intense for certain players. If games like Portal trigger your sense of vertigo, you may have some problems staying right side up here. For all the meaningful changes and additions that have been made, this is still more Super Mario Galaxy. Which is to say that it looks and sounds about as good as a game for the Wii ever has, with consistently inventive level design and exceptionally responsive gameplay. We all like to give Nintendo a hard time for its weakness for pandering to casual and nostalgic audiences, but when it brings its A game, it still delivers a fun, accessible game experience that's second to none. Or should I say, face ship?